The year is 1916. The First World War has turned Europe into a vast graveyard. On the Western Front, both sides are locked in a deadly stalemate. Trenches, barbed wire, and endless mud. But in February, a new plan is born inside the German High Command. Not just to win a battle, but to break the spirit of France itself. The target? A fortress town called Verdun. The Germans believe that by striking there, they can bleed France white. What follows would become one of the longest and bloodiest battles in human history. But Verdun remained, a reminder of what war demands and what the human spirit can endure. One battle became the very definition of hell. 300 days of unending blood, steel, and silence. This is the story of 300 days in hell, the Battle of Verdun. For 300 days, Verdun, the ancient fortress, became the place where a nation's will was tested in fire and blood. February 21st, 1916. The world stood still as the thunder of artillery broke over the quiet hills of Verdun. A storm unlike any other was about to consume the heart of France.
This is a very concentrated battlefield with an awful lot of heavy artillery. It was a very nasty, difficult place to fight. No room for maneuver. Very difficult, very dangerous terrain to fight over.
For months, the Western Front had been locked in a brutal stalemate. Miles of mud, blood, and broken men stretching from the North Sea to the Swiss border. But now, the German High Command had chosen this ancient fortress city for something different. Not just another battle, but an eruption. A test of endurance designed to bleed France dry. Under the command of Erich von Falkenhayn, the German army unleashed the largest artillery bombardment the world had ever seen. 1,200 guns pounded the French lines relentlessly. Shells screamed through the sky, tearing the earth apart. Villages vanished. Forests ignited. The soil itself became a storm of fire and metal.
Falkenhayn had concluded that breaking through the enemy's front wasn't possible anymore. So what he was trying to do was effectively to use the stalemate to grind down the French army, and that's something that no commander had tried to do before. His purpose was to kill people.
General Philippe Pétain is appointed to lead the defense. He finds chaos, broken divisions, shattered morale. Yet, amid the destruction, he builds a miracle. Along a single narrow road, the Voie Sacrée, the sacred way, an endless convoy of trucks begins to move. Every 14 seconds, supplies and men arrive. Day and night, the line never stops. Pétain tells his men, "Hold fast, they shall not pass." And somehow they don't. For the Germans, Verdun was supposed to be quick, decisive, a hammer blow to crush France's spirit. The German infantry advanced through the smoke, confident the French were gone. But what Falkenhayn didn't expect was the soul of Verdun, the sheer defiance of the men sent to die there. The French artillery began to answer. Gun by gun, shell by shell, the thunder returned to the hills. Verdun turned into a furnace, a storm of steel so intense that even the generals lost count of the shells. Hills vanished, trees disappeared. The Meuse River itself ran red. In the trenches, men fought like ghosts, living only to survive another hour. They slept standing, ate from the mud, and whispered the same words each night. Ils ne passeront pas. They shall not pass. Verdun was no longer just a battlefield. It was a symbol of madness, endurance, and the human will to resist even when the world itself was burning. The Germans pressed forward, hill by hill, trench by trench. Their new objective, Fort Vaux. For weeks, the fortress endured endless shelling. Inside, hundreds of French soldiers fought in suffocating darkness, without water or rest. Captain Reynal, the commander, wrote in his diary, "We have no more men. We have no more strength, but we will not surrender." The mud swallows men whole. Flamethrowers, poison gas, and endless shell fire turn the battlefield into a vision of hell. The Germans attack from the north. The French counterattack from the west. Fort Vaux holds out for weeks under siege, its defenders fighting without food or water, until they surrender, exhausted, but undefeated in spirit. It was a battle for survival, for the right to keep breathing under the rain of fire. By July 1916, the nightmare had reached its peak. Something had changed. A new storm had erupted hundreds of kilometers away, the Battle of the Somme. To relieve the pressure on Verdun, the British launched their massive offensive in the north. The German army was suddenly stretched thin. Too many fronts, too few men. At Verdun, Pétain was replaced by General Robert Nivelle, younger, ambitious, ruthless. His message was clear: we have endured enough, now we attack. The French artillery began the counter-offensive. For days, the hills thundered as millions of shells pounded German positions. The sky was a constant flicker of fire, a storm that swallowed night and day alike. On October 24th, the French launched their final push. Fort Douaumont, once a symbol of humiliation, was retaken. The tricolor flag rose again above its shattered walls. The news spread across France like sunlight breaking through clouds. Crowds wept, bells rang. Verdun, the unbreakable, still stood. The Germans fell back. Their offensive had failed. But the victory came at a price beyond imagination. 10 months, 700,000 casualties. For a battlefield no larger than a few kilometers, entire generations were erased. The landscape was permanently scarred. Some villages were never rebuilt. Verdun became the grave of an empire and the soul of a nation. It proved that courage can outlast terror, but at a price too heavy for humanity to bear. Today, the ground still hides millions of unexploded shells. The air is quiet. The forests have grown back. But beneath that silence. Verdun still whispers.